I'm an architect and urban planner. I love cities. For me, cities is the ultimate arena for human life. It's where we come together to find work, education, care, friends, lovers, and a city is all about the interaction in between people and services, goods, ideas. And the more frequently and the smoother these interventions and meetings occur in the city, the more attractive the city is. Attractive for people and attractive for business. So this being said, you can claim that the success or not for a city lies very much within its networks. So I will today talk, listen to this, Alexander, more networks coming your way. I will talk a lot today about networks, a little bit about the world we're living in and ending up in Kiruna, and give you a brief look at what we are doing there when trying to figure out how to relocate the city. But it's not only Kiruna which is in a massive change. The whole world is in an extreme accelerating change. So I will start off by giving you some stats and facts for the context, for the time we're living in right now. And the changing world is in an ecstasy of communication. These figures is showing the amount of time it took for different kinds of media to reach 50 million users. So looking at the radio, it took 38 years. Looking at the internet, it took 4 years to reach the same amount of users. And right now, it's a matter of days for popular applications in our smartphones or tablets to reach 50 million users, such as Angry Birds Space. It took 35 days to reach 50 million users. And people talk more and more about the information era. And maybe information is a very good and clear example of the changing world we are living in. When looking at the time it takes for society to double up all its existing information, in the beginning of the 1900s, it took us 50 years to double up all the existing informations, all available data, books, music, reports, novels, whatever. And right now, it takes about 2 years for doubling up a huge amount of information in society. And with the current rate, we are, by the year 2020, reaching a pace when we're doubling up all that massive amount of information in only 72 days. And this massive increase in information is also giving us a massive increase in complexity in society. And looking at the history of mankind, we have gone from simple control structures to more and more today evolve around networks. Complex network, yet efficient networks. And putting that in context of how we shape our societies and how we shape our companies, our schools, or our cities. We are today in an era where we have a legacy from the Industrial Revolution, from the modernistic era, where we like to put things in the same place. We order clusters of things, the same kind of things we put in one place, adjacent and remote from the others, and so on. And we try to a little bit connect them together because we need some kind of network in between. But we also discovered, and more discover, the benefits of a super network, whatever you want to call it. A network which is trying to connect all the different nodes in the network and trying to maximize the proximity of everything within its network. And looking at some examples of the transformation in the world and the development. For example, the telephone has come a long way since the 1930s. Up until today, we're all very much aware of the impact the smartphone has in our lives, and what a huge transformation has gone from the 1930s. And also looking at how we communicate in written text. In the 1930s, we were sending letters and messages across the globe on boats, on airplanes, while today it's just one click away on our telephones, in our computers. And to not forget the king of messaging, text messages. Do you have any idea, and can you imagine the amount of text messages we send each year in the world? It's 10 trillion trillion text messages each year, and escalating by the second, these numbers. It's impressive. We heard today about the car. Well, maybe the concept of the car and the function of the car hasn't changed very much. Looking at the Volvo from the 1930s and a model of today, it's more of a little bit the speed of the car and the design of the car which has developed. And what do you think about my area, architecture? What has happened since the 1930s? Well, I'm very ashamed of saying, not very much. The picture to your right is a recent taken picture from Ursvik outside Stockholm. And it's a bleak replica of a housing unit from the 1930s. And urban planning. You guessed it, we're still struggling with ideas from the 1930s, where we tried to collect everything in clusters, mono-function clusters, and connect them with highways and expressways. And having one type of housing, one type of people in one place, another type of housing on another place, a university campus at one place, a place for office clerks on another place, and connecting them with cars, which we believed would save the world and be the bright and sunny future. So this system actually gave us a greater distance to each other, and to ideas, and to goods and services, rather than connecting people. And it's killing us. This is not why we end up, why we search ourselves to cities. We want to fulfill our lives. We want to fulfill our hopes and dreams, not be stuck in traffic jams. And it's a matter of not being connected to each other when we find ourselves in these mono-functioning clusters. But what would you like to find in your city? Well, we are of course all different. We want different things. Maybe the common ground is that we want it to be close and fast. And it's these ideas you should build a city upon. Efficient networks, trying to maximize the variety and the different function, different people, different ideas, and trying to connect them as much as possible. This would give a better and more sustainable society and a more attractive society. New York got it quite early. It always has been an effective network and open to ideas, people, a variety of functions. And on the flip side, we have cities like Detroit. Detroit filed for bankruptcy this year. The city filed for bankruptcy. So they are, of course, in a desperate need of change. Hopefully they will change their network. They have today network supporting a highly spread out city dominated by cars and tailor-made for the car industry. But it's also the beauty of cities. They are in a constant change. They're never finished or complete. A city is always evolving and in development. And the city of Kiruna, also in a massive change. It was founded 100 years ago next to the world's largest iron ore. And right now, they have come to an excavation of the mine and the deformation of the ground above the underground mine has come to the city, the very city center. So the only option is now, if they want to keep their largest employer, the mine, is to relocate the city. And Kiruna today is suffering from also weak networks. It's a spread out town. It's a malfunctioning city center. So that's giving us even greater opportunities for creating either a better and a good working city. This is a vision of how it might look like in 20 years. The basic strategy when trying to relocate Kiruna is not to create a new satellite city next to the old one, then competing with the old one as long as the old one exists. It's much more of a long process, coping with the deformation going on from the mine, going on for, we don't know how long, 20, 50, or maybe 100 years' time if they want to completely empty the mine. So we see the benefits of knitting the existing urban fabric together with the parts we are relocating, then stitching the spread out city more together, and giving the city an opportunity to be a coherent city throughout the whole process, and being more and more coherent as the process continues. I'll now show some slides of the process. Of course, the process is of the essence here. And you will see the deformation coming in from the west, from the mine, and you will see the new city evolving in pink. This being maybe in 20 years' time. And the more we move, the more coherent the city becomes. This being an image maybe in 30 years. And the basics idea or vision about the city is then, of course, to have a greater network, a more efficient network, and a denser city, but also a city in close relationship to its surrounding Arctic landscape. Our vision is to have a unique city next to a fantastic landscape, this Arctic landscape, but also maximizing the opportunities in a more diverse city, in functioning people, and of course in business. They can't rely on the mine forever. And they have a lot of industry evolving and growing, such as the tourism, and they have space industry, and they even talk about space tourism. They wish for higher education here. And not to be forgotten, Sweden's oldest business, reindeer herding, not to be forgotten. And this is a vision how it might look like in 50 years' time, 100 years' time. A more dense city, mixed city, but in a very close relationship to the surrounding landscape. But before we get there, we must focus on the success of the first phase. It's a lot at stake. It's the survival of a city which is at stake. You see here the new public square, the main square, with the art museum and town hall being the round building in the middle. And the square also being very important for the city. Is the melting pot for people, except for TED Talk then, one of the most important parts of a city. Connecting people. So what I'm saying here today is that we should all claim, and you should all be aware of, that we deserve cities which can support a diversity and connectivity, rather than to have cities which are of monoculture and of restrictions. We have to fulfill our hopes and dreams. Thank you for listening.